This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
PNG signs status of force agreement with United Kingdom. Ministry of Health hosts first national conference on alcohol and drug abuse. And more than 30,000 BSB customers affected directly. A very good evening. This is National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. The status of force agreement between Papua New Guinea and the United Kingdom was signed today by Foreign Affairs Minister Justin Tachenko and UK Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs James Cleverly. This agreement now paves way for training to be conducted by UK Special Forces for PNG Defence Force.
The signing of this Memorandum of Understanding of the SOFA by both countries will strengthen bilateral ties and cements PNG's relationship with the UK. In a media conference this morning, United Kingdom Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs James Cleverly elaborated on this.
I think what we're seeing today with the signing of this MOU is formalising that relationship, enhancing that relationship and making sure that relationship adapts for the future. It is not about any one specific thing. It is about a full range of things.
He further highlighted on the importance of regional security in the Indo-Pacific region and the world as a whole.
We are able to formalise and enhance and make easier because it is in all our interests to do so. The security of our friends is our security. The world is an increasingly small place, and there is no such thing as over there and over here. The things which affect Papua New Guinea will inevitably also affect the UK and vice versa. So it's in both our interests that we work closely together on our defence and security.
Thank you very much.
After the signing, implementation will follow suit with trainings to commence, as explained by Foreign Affairs Minister Justin Tachenko.
Training has already started with the UK and Papua New Guinea in the Defence Force already. They already started the training processes with the UK, have senior officers training our Papua New Guinea Defence Force officers and soldiers as well.
Similar agreement has been signed with France to strengthen cooperation and regional security. The UK delegation left PNG for the Solomon Islands today. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
The United Kingdom will continue to partner with Papua New Guinea to address some health issues faced in the country. UK Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs James Cleverly, in his visit to Port Moresby General Hospital today, is pleased with the work of health workers.
Antimicrobial resistance, or AMR, is a leading public health threat across the world, and effective health system needs to be maintained in PNG. The United Kingdom, through its support grant from Fleming Fund, has committed 1.3 billion kina to strengthen civilian systems in the health sector. UK Secretary is happy to see the good work health workers have been doing in terms of providing clinical services.
And I'm very pleased to see the work that you are doing with the support of the UK government. That you do supports your society in the here and now, but of course also in the future. And I'm very pleased that it is being facilitated with the help of the Fleming Fund, funded by the British people to support our friends here in Papua New Guinea and here in the Port Moresby General Hospital.
Director Medical Services from the Port Moresby General Hospital, Dr. Kone Sobi, on behalf of the management and staff members, thanked the United Kingdom for their funding support.
Thank you to the people of United Kingdom and reps from the British High Commission here in PNG. Through the Fleming Fund country grant, we are able to improve and enhance the capacity of the microbiology activity here in Port Moresby General Hospital. This goes a long way to save and improve clinical practice here in the country. So once again, thank you very much.
Dr. Sobi added that the funding will be used to train specialist medical laboratory scientists and others so as to allow more medical experts to work together to combat antimicrobial resistance issues. Jim John, National EMTV News.
The Directorate for Social Change and Mental Health Services under the Ministry of Health held a first-ever national conference on alcohol and drug abuse in PNG. This is a 3-day conference which aims to discuss the ways on how to reduce alcohol and drug use.
The 3-day conference commenced today at the Holiday Inn Hotel in Port Moresby, with participants comprising of medical professionals, public health policy and health law experts, social workers, service users, community leaders, and representatives from government and NGOs. His Excellency Grand Chief Sebob Dadai officially opened the conference this morning. The Acting Director General of National Narcotics Bureau, Matthew Nelson, spoke during the morning session of today's program, saying the young generations of this country are deeply affected by alcohol and drug. He stressed that PNG doesn't have a strong monitoring system to monitor the illegal activities.
All of us to understand, we must know, that we need to know and understand the goal before commodities to make something out for something. We must have a lot of education and awareness on this issue, especially us, the people sitting in this room. We need to know and understand these things because they are important. The trend will be shifting now very soon.
Mr. Nelson encouraged the participants to carry out a lot of awareness programs in schools and communities on these drug and alcohol issues.
I visited Yombo Passage, I've been to Bill Bay, and I've seen what happens at the high seas. They exchange this in that black ship coming in and out. And that could go well for customs, for police, for the law enforcement. And for us, for the National Narcotics Bureau, we come in this area. We are the demand reduction. Meaning, for us, we must make quality awareness programs in the schools, communities, and so forth. I just got back.
This conference will see presentations and discussions on various topics with traditional approaches to mental health care, holistic mental health, and well-being, which are expected to end on Friday this week. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
The Chief Executive Officer of the PNG Tingten Group, Samson Komati, said more than 30,000 BSB customers were directly affected, and also online banking services have been suspended for many days, and that had affected the staff salaries, other payments by SMEs, businesses and individuals. Thus, he recommends that government should call on Bank of Papua New Guinea Governor to institute investigation into the BSB Bank Computer Glitch caused by foreign IT company engaged by BSP, which has caused chaos and disruptions nationwide.
And I think
Mr. Samson Komati told EMTV News this morning that the computer glitch by BSP is an internal problem that affected thousands of BSP customers throughout the country.
BSB has lost the trust of our people, and BSP has to come out and apologize to our people, because we didn't tell, we the bankers, the people who are banking in BSP, we didn't tell BSP to deposit the money into our accounts. The error, the wrong is with BSP. They decided to deposit money into 30,000 accounts of Papua New Guineans. And then they're threatening us that you shouldn't withdraw this money, which is true. The people shouldn't withdraw. Who told BSB to present the temptation to our people during very hard economic times? You dump big time money into their accounts and you expect them not to withdraw.
Mr. Komati says if it was a computer glitch, then it should be corrected within 36 hours. However, it started 2 weeks ago and it's still continuing. He says BSB has to come out clearly and explain to its customers on what the issue is.
It's continuing for 2 weeks. What kind of glitch is it? Is BSB hiding from the customers and the people of Papua New Guinea? Something that we do not know? Was it an external hacking that happened to the entire BSB system?
He also explained that banks and financial institutions in the country comes under the central bank, and central bank has the fiduciary duty to all commercial banks, microbanks and financial institutions in the country, because they keep the money that belongs to the public and they need to be held accountable.
The central bank governor must institute an investigation into BSB Bank. An independent investigation is going to substantiate what actually happened, how much money has been lost or saved, any illegalities on the part of BSB. Has there been a breach of trust and confidence of the customer and the bank relationship? Has there been negligence in the part of BSB? So all these issues has to be addressed by the management of BSB, and also the central bank has to clamp down on BSB on this problem.
Meanwhile, in a media statement released early this week, BSB Group CEO Mark Robinson said BSB is meeting regularly with the Bank of PNG to keep them informed on the progress in addressing the technical issues and delays to payments and services. He says BSB is addressing its technical issues and improving their operations under the new banking system. CEO Robinson stated that BSB has made good progress clearing most of the backlog of the delayed domestic payments, and BSB remains committed to processing all payrolls submitted this week as per normal. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer for PNG Tingten Group, Samson Komati, is calling on parliamentarians to address these BSB technical issues and delays to payments and services accordingly, as this has severely affected the day-to-day lives of people right throughout the country.
The Treasurer's powers in his ministry oversees the central bank of PNG, and I am not seeing any politician in this country, both from opposition and government, coming out on this computer glitch that's affecting thousands of people and companies in the country. And it's prolonged for 2 weeks. It's not a small issue. A lot of people think it's a small issue. It's not a small issue. It's affecting people. And the concern of mandated leaders in this country is that when people are affected in any disaster, any computer glitch, any trouble, any warfare, any lawlessness, any crime in this country, it's the mandated leaders voted by the people to stand up for the people. And I have not seen any single politician has come out and spoke for the people, asking BSB to be accountable.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Health and hygiene practices are important for all to stay healthy. This is because some of the diseases that had been occurring in Papua New Guinea are preventable while others are non-preventable. This is according to POMGEN Medical Services Director Dr. Kone Sobi.
Health professionals at the medical laboratory at the Port Moresby General Hospital are encouraging people to take care of their own health. Medical Services Director from POMGEN, Dr. Kone Sobi, says antimicrobial resistant or AMR is a huge task and the health workers are doing their best to solve this threat.
Especially the bacteria develop resistance to the conventional and all antibiotics that we have been using. That is recognized globally as antimicrobial resistance. Now that's a big concern for health industry worldwide. If we have microbial organisms developing resistance to the chloramphenicol, the amoxicillins that we've been using, and various other, it makes it very challenging and difficult for us to manage patients with antibiotics.
He says one way they are looking into addressing this issue is to identify the organism.
The clinicians, doctors can prescribe appropriate. As you know, in this country we have irrational dishing out of antibiotics, especially in the community. And that's one thing we want to stop as well through these interventions and through this awareness.
Medical microbiologist Dr. Gabriela Ek explains this ongoing threat.
Microorganisms actually replicate, multiply to actually protect themselves from stimulus from outside. So antibiotics are seen to be stimulus that are harming them as well. So in the process, when we kind of expose them to repeated antibiotics, they then internally develop themselves to actually fend themselves from those bugs. So this is actually our problem, antimicrobial resistance in a nutshell. So we've had this problem, but we just haven't had the funding, the capacity. And when I say capacity, that's manpower, the specialist manpower, as well as laboratory infrastructure, machines to be able to diagnose and then make that available to the clinicians to use that evidence-based result to treat our patients.
As it stands, health workers are doing their best to find alternative solutions to reduce this problem and have also called on the people throughout the country to follow health rules, as health is everyone's business. Jim John, National EMTV News.
Police Commander for Hela Chief Superintendent Joseph Tondop is confident Hela Province will change for the better in time. He made these comments following the capture and arrest of 4 criminals wanted for a string of serious crimes in the province.
Chief Superintendent Tondop said the suspects were arrested between March and April by the Joint Security Forces in Heights and Tari. PPC Tondop said among the 4 arrested was the most wanted criminal, believed to be from the Pureni village in South Koroba. He was apprehended at the Tari market last month by police with assistance from the PNG Defence Force personnel after a tip-off from the local community. A grateful PPC Tondop explained that the assistance by the communities is an indication of a general desire of the local people for law and order to prevail in Hela. Upon taking command in Hela Province, PPC Tondop has initiated major awareness campaigns to win the trust, support and cooperation of the people. The police boss in Hela explained that security forces will continue to enforce the law without fear, favor, ill will or malice. Tondop said this is the right thing to do. He further praised his men and the PNGDF personnel for striving to maintain peace and good order in Hela and urged citizens from the province to rise up, unite, go home and educate their families and clan members and support the work of the police. Police has set up a toll-free number for the public to call and report crimes and the establishment of a crime information management system within Hela Province. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
The autonomous Bougainville government is currently going around the country to consult Bougainvillians and frame a new indigenous constitution for a sovereign state of Bougainville. The ABG, through the Bougainville Constitutional Planning Commission, are in consultation to prepare the first draft of their constitution.
ABG Attorney General and Minister for Independence Mission Implementation, Ezekiel Massad, says they have consulted Bougainvillians in Bougainville and have seen that there is a need also to consult with Bougainvillians outside of Bougainville. He says the ABG currently has a constitution, but in preparation for Bougainville to become a new nation, the two governments have agreed for Bougainville to adopt a new constitution.
Agreed to is to write its own constitution. At the moment we are in an autonomous arrangement that has its own constitution. In preparation for the next phase of independence, the two governments have agreed that we must embark on writing a new autochthonous constitution for that independent nation, Bougainville.
Massad says once they have the first draft, they will do another round of consultations with Bougainvilles, both inside and outside of Bougainville. He says in the first quarter of 2025, the first draft constitution will be handed over to a constituent assembly to decide.
And that constituent assembly has two responsibilities. One, it can reject that constitution. If it rejects that constitution, then the commission is required to go back and do some more work.
If the constitution is accepted, the assembly is also required to set the dates for the first election of the new nation. He says every activity they are embarking on is in agreement with the national government. ABG Vice President and Minister for Commerce, Trade, Industry and Economic Development, Patrick Nisira, thanked the present and past leaders of PNG in bringing Bougainville this far, especially from the peace agreement to Bougainville gaining autonomy.
I think I should take this time, this opportunity to thank the government of Papua New Guinea and the leadership of previous prime ministers with the Bougainville leaders. We have actually crafted out the Bougainville Peace Agreement. Bougainville Peace Agreement is called a Bougainville Peace Agreement because it was an agreement to end a war on Bougainville. So that's why it's called a peace agreement.
The consultation for Bougainvillians living in the Momase region has been done in Wewak, East Sepik Province, and a team is now in Ley to consult with Bougainvillians living there. ABG Vice President Nisira and Attorney General Massad are expected to address Bougainvillians in Morabe tomorrow morning before the consultations. Amanda Ilaitia, National MTV News.
Puma Energy released a press statement this afternoon to advise all petrol customers in Port Moresby that due to the recent severe cyclone weather in Northwest Australia, Puma Energy resupply shipping from Northwest Australia has been delayed by a few days and is now planned for arrival on Saturday, the 22nd of April.
Puma Energy Country Manager Hela Province advised that to correct the petrol shortage being experienced only in Port Moresby, they have implemented appropriate steps to ensure minimal impact occurs in the nation's capital. Puma Energy has implemented petrol rationing only for Port Moresby. No other parts of PNG are affected. Mr. Tokome emphasized that this is only for petrol in Port Moresby. The rationing of petrol is from today, Wednesday the 19th of April, until Saturday the 22nd of April. The resupply ship will arrive on Saturday the 22nd of April and the petrol rationing for Port Moresby will be uplifted on Sunday the 23rd of April. Florence John Duo, National MTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2840 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2765 US, $0.4078 Australian dollars, $0.2443 euro, 36.62 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at Neo closed, gold is trading lower, coffee closed higher, cocoa closed higher, copra closed lower, palm oil closed higher, crude oil closed higher, and copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National MTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Moving to overseas news now, and in Western Australia, the small town of Exmouth is being flooded with tourists ahead of an eclipse that will happen tomorrow.
Yeah, so it'll be just before 11:30 tomorrow morning. So the moon will move directly in front of the sun. It will be a total solar eclipse in Exmouth. It's one of the only places in Australia that you'll be able to see it, or the only place on the mainland anyway, the only place in the world. So that's why you've got people coming in from all over the world, from Hong Kong, from Europe, from everywhere to really see this event. Scientists are here to study it as well. So it will be about a minute of complete darkness. We've heard anecdotes from people locally, and they probably need to be fact-checked, but we've heard anecdotes from people locally that cattle will lay down in a field when the eclipse comes over because it goes as dark as night. So I've never seen a total eclipse before. It'll be pretty exciting for a lot of people here, but we'll have to wait and see what really happens.
A lawyer for a US voting machine company says lies have consequences after reaching a $1.1 billion settlement with Fox News in its highest profile defamation case.
Fox has admitted to telling lies about Dominion that caused enormous damage to my company, our employees, and the customers that we serve. Nothing can ever make up for that. Throughout this process, we have sought accountability and believe the evidence brought to light through this case underscores the consequences of spreading lies. Truthful reporting in the media is essential to our democracy. Dominion, our employees, our people, our partners are grateful to the court for allowing us the process for the truth to come out.
Today's settlement of $787,500,000 represents vindication and accountability. Lies have consequences. The truth does not know red or blue. People across the political spectrum can and should disagree on issues, even of the most profound importance.
A court in Moscow has rejected a U.S. journalist's appeal against his pre-trial detention.
This was the first time Evan Gershkovich had been seen in public since being arrested. The Wall Street Journal reporter was appealing his detention. The appeal was rejected. He's the first Western journalist here to be charged with spying since the Cold War, a charge that he, his newspaper, and his government categorically reject.
The charges against Evan are baseless, and we call on the Russian Federation to immediately release him.
A rare glimpse inside the prison where the American journalist is being held. A Russian TV documentary went inside Lefortovo jail 20 years ago. It's notorious for the sense of isolation. Mr. Gershkovich's lawyer told me what's helping him get through this.
He received a lot of letters and he tried to respond on these letters, and he is very glad to so huge support from everybody.
The US government has now officially classified Evan Gershkovich as wrongfully detained. That means that back in America, his case has been taken up by the US Special Envoy for Hostage Affairs, who will try to secure his release. Experience shows it won't be easy. Ex-US Marine Paul Whelan has spent more than 4 years behind bars in Russia. America calls him wrongfully detained too.
An analysis taken by Australia's peak homelessness body shows surging rent prices are putting pressure on young people on support payments, pushing more of them towards homelessness and poverty.
That's right, Michael. With just under a month before that federal budget is expected to be delivered, and despite the Treasurer Jim Chalmers also mentioning that it is going to be a fairly tight budget, we've heard from Australia's peak body of homelessness services call on the government to increase youth income support payments right across Australia and increase them substantially. And this comes after a report from Homelessness Australia, which conducted analysis over the last 2 years. It took a look into the typical rent for a half a two-bedroom apartment and what someone that's on youth allowance or rent assistance, those income support payments available to youth, what that would cover and what would be left over. The results were astounding. It showed that on average a person would have $13 a day left over to be spending on remaining costs of living. So, for example, groceries, medicine, energy bills and transport. It's something that many advocates say is simply not good enough. Now, we also saw in that report that over the 2 years it was conducted, there was an increase in youth income support payments to about 10%. At the same time, we saw rents exponentially increase by about 24%. So many advisory bodies are saying that it's simply not keeping up with the rising cost of living. We've heard from the CEO of Homelessness Australia, Kate Colvin, who says that it's not only a concerning and unreasonable amount, but it needs to be at the top of the priority list, especially in this year's federal budget.
A ceasefire between two warring factions at Sudan's military has begun. Gunfire is still being reported, putting civilians at risk.
As it enters a fifth day, the fighting between Sudan's army and the RSF is descending further into chaos. No one seems to be in control of the country, or if one side is, it's not clear which. More and more civilians have been killed and injured as gunfire and airstrikes have made residential neighbourhoods in the capital Khartoum into war zones. A clearly marked US embassy convoy in the capital came under attack and fighters stormed the home of the EU's envoy to Sudan, though neither incident caused any casualties. On Tuesday, the battling factions both said they'd agreed to a 24-hour ceasefire starting in the early evening to allow for humanitarian evacuations. But there's no telling if either side will uphold it. Previous attempts at ceasefires since the weekend have collapsed pretty quickly. Even in the hours before it was due to begin, fighting was as ferocious as ever. The death toll is still climbing as hospitals scramble to try and help the wounded, despite power outages and shortages of key supplies. The real number of those killed is hard to gauge. It's very likely far higher than the current estimates. Khartoum residents have reported bodies in the streets, unreachable in the crossfire.
The truth is that at the moment it is almost impossible to provide any humanitarian services in and around Khartoum. There are calls from various organizations and people trapped asking for evacuation. For the past 4 days, people have been out of water, food. Electricity has been rationed, in some places totally disconnected.
The chaos in the country is a long way from the steps towards democracy that so many had hoped for.
National MTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The PNG Boxing Union commenced its two-day workshop in Port Moresby today to upskill all boxing coaches and judges in the country. The workshop is being conducted by Seru Ratu of the International Boxing Association.
The Papua New Guinea Boxing Union today held its first ever in-country workshop since 2019. The workshop, facilitated by a representative from the International Boxing Association, saw PNG Boxing Union President Dr. Gideon Candino, coaches and judges go through the first day of the training.
This program involves the aspect of refereeing and judging, whereby we're doing a workshop, and this workshop entails upskilling, mentoring, and assisting our local one-talks into improving their level or their standard of refereeing and judging.
The aim of the workshop is to upskill the coaches and judges.
So we're going through the process of grading them as national 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star before we go on to a IBA, our parent body, will be organizing a accreditation process in Samoa in June.
Alluding to Mr. Ratu was president for PNG Boxing Union, Dr. Gideon Kendino, who says after the workshop, several coaches and judges will be selected to go for further training.
With the coaches, the IBA, we decided to run them online. Once they get the IBA star ones, and then we will then look at targeting tournaments in the region that they can go and get the star 2s and star 3s.
He said the workshop today is good for the coaches and judges to become familiar with the changes and meet international standards.
So at the moment, we only have 3 IBA star 1 referees that we can utilize in the Pacific Games or in the Commonwealth Games. So the union has decided to get Seruwipi, who is a star 3, IBA star 3 referee, and he's just finished from the World Women's Championships in New Delhi.
The 2 days workshop, which started today with theory, will end tomorrow before the team progress to doing practical activities towards the end of the week.
16-year-old Raymond John, who has played the role of a water boy for the Vipers rugby league team, has found himself a sport with some of the players, where his services have been recognized by one of the team's sponsor, the Southern Cross Assurance. John will be the water boy for the top 3 players in the Vipers team, where all 4 of them have been recognized by the team as ambassadors for their sponsor, the Southern Cross Assurance.
The 16-year-old who started playing the role of the water boy when he was only 10 years old has been serving as a water boy for the Vipers for 6 years and said he could not have had it any other way. The 16-year-old Raymond John, who is a die-hard supporter of the Money Plus NCDC Port Moresby Vipers, who plans to play one day for the Vipers, says it is for the first time since the establishment of the Vipers Club that sponsors, thanks to the Vipers management, players and people like himself, will be supported by the sponsors.
2019, we've been coming to start the Vipers. Now I'm making 50 years from me, start on the Vipers. Since we've been coming to, we know been looking at this sponsor, been coming to players welfare, no staff good. Players sleep house, also go come, like even soup local or something where all no got local, all let's buy him let's loan strong local, but now all sponsor kind of Southern Cross, JMAT, one sponsor, well sponsor all mangi, even lo mibla fopla Southern Cross come and mibla talk thank you, lo can help him all 3 players plus me, lo one lily needs where mibla need him local.
He added that having the sponsors now come on board and be assigned individual players is good for the players as they support the players both on and off the field.
Even inside the game situation outside, or one physical need, we need him, we was all to all ready lo help him, we ready lo give one something we like him local and welcome sponsor him, me talk thank you straight lo Southern Cross welcome. Sponsor him, mibla fobla lo start backside lo mibla lo saboti mibla so that mibla can move through lo 2023 season Sim Cup na give him all again. Thank you.
He said the 4 of them, who are covered by Southern Cross Assurance, are ready to put their best foot forward and make their sponsor proud. Meanwhile, the NCDC Port Moresby Vipers, who will play their 2nd match of the season this coming weekend in Kokopo.
Having played their opening match of the season, the Money Plus NCDC Port Moresby Vipers came out victorious following the final hooter. Some of the players took time to tell MTV's Trukai Sports on how they are hoping to maintain their win.
Top 3 players from the NCDC Port Moresby Vipers took time to tell MTV's Trukai Sports on how they are hoping to maintain their win from last weekend to match it with their game this coming weekend. Introducing the rest of the team was Maya Clark, also a senior player in the Vipers team. Maya said this weekend the team will try their best to work on areas they need to improve on and give it their best.
First game, we play one time Mount Hagen Eagles. The whole idea behind we play going to the field is just to secure them 2 points. We play work hard. I think almost 5 to 4 months of free season. We play going to the field and not something we're not all result when we play like him in or when we play expect him lem.
Also speaking on behalf of the team on last weekend's performance was Joel Gene, who has been with the Vipers for a few years now.
Clearly, we play too much, so I'm half of the team. I'm gonna new play boys, so it's precision. I'm gonna get to know each other. I'm gonna play calm. There some the trials to go finish the play. But round one, I'm gonna show us. I'm gonna combination. I'm gonna something. I'm alright league. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna build on the first win. I'm gonna second game. I'm gonna go play away one time all Gurias. So I'm 110% sure that I'm ready straight to go play one time all.
Coming on board to join the Vipers in 2023 with a wealth of experience is Leon Undpia, who said there are few areas he needs to polish up on before this weekend's game.
Me got 110% trust for boys from Sudan. South and Bamla winning the games. We play going chat. As my am talking is we play making plenty mistake. Me play costing but then we play go out again second half coming chat again and play work on the mistake don't run. We play improve. We play score. Now we play 2 points now come out chat.
The three players are looking to put their best foot forward and work on their errors before they face their brothers from Kokopo this weekend. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. In Rugby Union, President of PNG Rugby Union Paul Sivi has thanked the participants of the first leg of the Kumul Petroleum Holdings Super Sevens in Mount Hagen over the weekend. He says the officials were impressed with the players and the turnout of supporters showing interest in rugby union.
Siwi, who attended the first leg along with CEO Sailosi Juma and other executives and officials, said PNG Rugby Union would invest in the field as the next tournament and other games would be hosted there, given the interest shown. The weekend's competition saw 15 male teams and 5 female teams playing for the cup, plate and bowl.
People like rugby go some Jimmy, people go Mendy, go Wabek, go Pogara. So rugby will move longer up. And this weekend we saw a good talent coming from Highlands Rugby. So next weekend we got game Lulay, Coal Petroleum Super Sevens Lulay. So all tips to stop Lulay, you get in touch with the organizers.
The Kumul Petroleum Holdings Super Sevens Highlands leg brought a lot of fans and supporters, while most of the players who were familiar with rugby league showed impressive adjustments to the new code. Female Cup winners Leigh Harlequin said the competition was tough. Meanwhile, for the men, Morobe Hammerheads took the cup. Captain Travis Maguna said it was the second time for his team to win the cup and thanked his boys along with the officials and organizers.
Peaceful straight, I will support, I will control your lead. I will something come up and blow one bell straight. I will give big thank you go back and logo community or villages or tribesmen come stops around here.
Meanwhile, there have been no drunkards or rowdiness throughout the tournament until the successful completion and presentation of prizes to the winners and runner-up in the cup, plate and bowl categories. Natasha Ovoy, Trukai Sports.
And moving to overseas sports now, 2 Parramatta Eel stars have travelled to Alice Springs this week to run clinics for local kids.
Rugby league clinics are kicking goals for the community.
It teaches a discipline, it gives you a sense of purpose, and you make good friends.
In recent months, the outback town has attracted national attention for the wrong reasons. But two Indigenous Eels legends have touched down this week, hoping to bring kids together for a positive purpose.
If we've got the right role models and they give the good messaging, it can change kids and a lot of their decision making.
We hear a lot of negative stuff, but we've been here and all we've seen is positive stuff.
The clinics are being run in the lead up to the Round 8 match in Darwin this Friday against the Broncos, dropping in on local schools as well as the Alice Springs Youth Detention Centre and the local Aranda Boxing Gym.
For me, it's the game's always had that ability to make a difference in people's lives.
It's hoped the clinics will also inspire more women and girls to play the sport.
We had 6 teams last year, but we've gone up to 10 teams now. So the more women, the better.
The team hopes these clinics will be just one step in boosting league numbers in Central Australia.
There's only 200 registrations in the Northern Territory in Alice Springs in regards to rugby league, and that's why we're having a clinic here today, just to try and boost up the numbers of kids playing rugby league.
I haven't seen or heard of any other sport that brings teammates closer together than rugby does.
Passing a life-changing sport onto the next generation.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby, partly cloudy with few afternoon showers and possible thunderstorm. Port Mandeta, frequent showers and possible thunderstorm tonight. In the Momase region, Lae, few afternoon showers becoming frequent tonight. Banimo, few showers and thunderstorm. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, partly cloudy with few showers becoming frequent tonight. Kokopo and Rabaul, partly cloudy with few showers and possible thunderstorm. In the Highlands region, all centres cloudy with thundery rain this evening.
The update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Wednesday, the 19th of April 2023. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.